The French defense is probably my favorite opening to play as black against 1e4, and it's simply because it's very easy to learn, easy to play, just have to memorize the three main variations to play: exchange, advance, and maybe some other variations, and is extremely solid. So it's probably one of the most solid openings to play, one of the most solid defenses to play against 1e4 if you are playing black. That's why it's my favorite opening to play against 1e4. And today I'm bringing you this very short and comprehensive guide on the French defense, so you can watch this video and learn how to play the French defense in less than 10 minutes. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and it's very simple. It doesn't take very long. You just click the like button and click the subscribe so you can receive notifications when I post new videos like this one. But let's take a look at the French defense. Whenever you play an opening, guys, you have to keep in mind the strengths and weaknesses of this opening. Every opening has strong points and weak points, so you have to keep them in mind. If you are playing a certain opening, they always have the strengths and weakness. The French defense, you can only play it against 1e4, and it's interesting because you are preparing a movement here. When you play e6, you are preparing to strike with d5, and this pawn is supporting the other pawn that will be attacking the e4 pawn. So more often than not, your opponent is just going to take the center here, and you are going to strike with d5. So these two moves here can basically be pre-moved, because you're going to play these moves probably 99% of the time. So when your opponent plays e4, you're going to reply by playing e6, preparing this advancement with the support. What this does is it's very solid, a very solid position, extremely defensive. It's very difficult for your opponent to break through. The bad point is this bishop right here is going to be blocked by this pawn for the most part in most of the variations. So this bishop is going to come to game much later, and sometimes it's going to be a very bad bishop. We're going to try to trade it off for the other bishop from white as soon as we can, so we can trade a bad bishop for a good bishop here. This is usually going to be a good bishop here. What your opponent can do here, instead of pushing this pawn in this position, is to play a move like any of the knights out. And in that case, you're still going to play for d5 here. So let's imagine your opponent goes for this move. You're still going to play d5. And if your opponent takes and you take back, then they're probably going to play d4 here. And you can go for an exchange variation. This is basically an exchange variation here. You have now your bishop is going to be free. So in the exchange French, this problem is solved very early on. So this is probably one of the best variations to play if you are playing the French. So that's why you should keep in mind, whenever your opponent plays a move like this, you always go for the same move. And if they do this, if they develop the other knight, knight to c3, you're still going to play d5. If they take, you just take back. And here, probably they're going to play d4. You can play knight to f6. And you are playing a similar structure. Just this knight is not here yet, but they're probably going to play it right next. So you can develop your bishop. You have your other bishop free as well. You can castle very quickly, bring your rook to the center. You can push the other pawn, or maybe go for a more solid approach, develop the knight. Very simple game, straightforward, and extremely solid. So it's difficult for your opponent to break through. So if they go for any other move here, that's what you're gonna do. You're still going to play d5. And if they go for d4, well, guess what? We're going to play d5 anyway. And from here on, they have three options. They might take this pawn, advance, or do something else, like to protect this pawn. Well, remember that this pawn is under attack, right? We pushed here, and now this pawn is being threatened, and it's not defended. So they have to defend this pawn somehow. What they can do is just go ahead and trade this pawn for the other. They can push, which is going to, funny enough, defend the pawn by getting it out of danger. Or they can do something like this or this, which is going to be defending the pawn with the knight and developing a piece, right? So if they take the pawn. That's the best for you guys, because this is going to be the best position for black. We're going to have at least a draw. So whenever your opponent takes the pawn and they go for the exchange variation, you guys should be celebrating here, because you're just going to take back and you have a very symmetric position, very solid. White's going to have to prove something here if they want to win the game. So what they can do here is try to develop the knights now, develop the bishops, maybe here, or bring this this other bishop right here, try to castle very quickly. And you can do the same. You can just bring your knight out, you can bring your bishop out, castle very quickly. You can just solidify this structure here. This bishop is now free to be developed, so that's why the exchange variation is so good for black as well. The bad point of the French defense, which is this French bishop here that is very passive and hard to develop, now is free because this pawn is no longer here, the pawn captured, so now this bishop is free and has a lot of room for improvement. You can develop this bishop very easily here and trade it off, which would be good for black in many ways. So the exchange variation is very easy to play. So more often than not, your opponent's not going to go for that. If they try to defend here, for example, they go for this move or even this move, doesn't matter very much because you're going to take here anyway, kind of forcing white to take back. And you have this very solid position here. Your central pawn is defended. They have the knight here, it's true, but you want to kick this knight away from the center. My recommendation here is to play the Rubinstein. You just develop the knight here, and after your opponent goes for other moves, like for example this one, you're gonna develop your other knight. You don't go for this move first because otherwise they're gonna take here and you have to ruin your pawn structure. So if they take, you just take back, and if they don't take your knight here and they do something else, then you are going to take the knight yourself, okay? So in this case, if they take, you just take back. And no matter what they do here, if they keep developing, let's say they go for any developing move like this, or even if they go for check here, you're just going to develop your bishop, try to castle very quickly. You can fianchetto the other bishop, try to strike at the center. It's a very easy, very simple game. You can castle very quickly, develop your pieces. Very easy game to play. Yeah, but of course, there are some complications if your opponent goes for the advanced variation. In my opinion, this is the hardest one to play. And in this case, just keep in mind, you're going to have to play against this pawn. This is the weak base of the pawn chain. Of course, they're going to try to solidify by defending it, but more often than not, you're going to play against this pawn. So you can straight ahead think of moves that attack this pawn, trying to remove this pawn from here, and then this pawn is going to be weak. So let's imagine if you remove this pawn, if you take it away, then this pawn is a target. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to straight away attack the pawn, and you can think of moves that attack this pawn already. This move is attacking the pawn. This move is kind of attacking the pawn, right? And you can even think of moves like this, attacking the pawn once more. So your idea is to play against this pawn right here. So that's why I recommend just pushing here, trying to attack. If they defend, don't just take away right now. I like to do that sometimes, just take, and then try to play against that. But you can go ahead and play this. Or there are some other variations where you play this knight here and then here. And then you try to trade this bishop very quickly for the other bishop right here. Okay, so this is another strategy that you might take, but more often than not, you're just going to play this move, and no matter what your opponent does here, let's say they just develop here, you can just go ahead and develop your queen, attacking this pawn once more. You can come with your knight over here to attack the pawn even more. You can go ahead and trade, no worries if you do that. But keep in mind, your idea is to play against this pawn. That's the whole plan you gotta have when you're playing the French exchange variation. So that's the simplest guide I can give you guys. If you are playing the French here, if you are playing the French defense, just keep in mind the most common move here will be d4. So you can just respond by playing d5. These are the three most common variations you should keep in mind Maybe the knight's gonna come here, but it's not gonna change your plan. You're just gonna take it the pawn anyway. So this is the simplest and shortest guide ever I can give you guys on the French defense. And it's super solid, extremely hard for the white to break through and cause some damage in your defenses. You can expect to have a lot of draws and wins if you play the French defense as black. That's why it's my favorite opening to play against 1e4, and it's my comfort pick. I always go for this one when I want to be safe in a game. So if you like this video, remember to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more, and I see you guys in the next one.